What's up, YouTube? Angry Jackalope Rob Ricks back again. Got another story time for you. But before I begin, I promised one of the viewers I'd give a shout out to his dad. So, Sergeant Major Thomas, how you doing? Rob Ricks. I wrote this. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And your son wanted me to say what's up. What's up? All right. Now, one of the earlier story times, it might have been the last one actually, now that I think about it. I had a memory of a racist ass guard that I was a supervisor to. Damn, there's a lot of flies in here right now. I hope they don't fuck around and get on film here. We'll see. Damn, there's a lot of them. They're big as fuck too. Woo-wee. Anyway, sorry. Apologies. Didn't mean to get distracted. But when you see flies this fucking big, you kind of go, what the fuck are those? Anyway, when I was working at HP, I got promoted to be a supervisor. And then after a supervisor, I was responsible for documentation for all of the guards. But while being a supervisor, I had a couple of guards that were problematic, to say the least. And I'm going to talk about two of them right now. This is kind of some of the shit that went down. And I'm sure this is not just at Hewlett-Packard where we were at. And this might have been part of the reason that ultimately Pinkerton lost that contract there to another company. Anyway, I can't remember Dickhead's name. I'm just going to call him Dickhead. Okay? Dickhead. So anyway, there was this guard, Dickhead. And he was a mobile patrol officer. So he would drive from building to building to building. And every time I would deal with this dude, he seemed real cool. You know what I mean? He was respectful and all this other stuff. Well, I had a couple other guards that would call me up and say, this fucking guy is talking a lot of shit about you. And the stuff he's talking about is making us a little uncomfortable. I'm like, what the fuck is he saying? And they said, well, he was saying shit like he doesn't want to take orders from a wetback. To which I fucking laughed because I'm not Mexican. And I was like, all right. So I confronted him and I said, well, you know what? I don't care if you're racist, but if you're racist, let's get it right. You know, you can call me a nip, Jap, you know, you want to talk about the white side, you can call me cracker, whatever. But get your shit straight. And this motherfucker goes like this. Fuck you, dude. What's up? Let's go then, bitch. Let's go. And I'm like, dude, are you serious? And you gotta understand, that company had a very strict policy. No violence in the workplace, right? And I was like, I'm not interested in getting in a tussle with this fucking dude over this shit. He's below me, right? So I said, well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna write you up for this. If you want to fucking swing at me, go for it. I'll fucking press charges. You're on fucking camera, by the way, dickhead. Because where I confronted him was right in front of PAFC, Palo Alto Fabrication Center. And he kind of looked up. He's all, whatever, fucking wetback. And he fucking got in a patrol vehicle and he took off. And he fucking peeled out. That was 2 strikes on his ass, right? That's okay. So I went back, wrote up the documentation, called up the other guards and said, hey, would you guys mind, you know, witnessing the accounts of just the stuff that he was saying? And they're like, fuck yeah, dude, we don't like him. We wish his ass was gone, you know, because he doesn't even do the shit the right way. He fucking cheats. I said, okay. And what this cocksucker didn't understand is we had a pretty tight crew of people. And, you know, I would go out of my way to make sure that the guards were taken care of. Right? So a lot of times in corporate, they'd have these big meetings and there'd be a shit ton of food left over. Right? And then the facilities guys, the janitorial staff, would then proceed to throw that shit away. And so what I told them straight up is, look, man, you bring it up to our area, I'll give you a 20 spot. We'll throw it all away. Right? And so the guy was like, great. Well, shit. At that time, I was probably spending more than $20 just on me and my shift supervisor partner, and we would kind of rotate back and forth. Once the guards found out, we'd put a little pool together And shit, you know, a couple of bucks here, a couple of bucks there, we had the $20, no problem. And then we'd even go as far as any money we had left over, we would even further tip the janitorial staff. And so, shit, every so often they'd get a 40 or a 50 or whatever. So we would take all these lush fucking leftovers from the thing, and it'd be nice sandwiches, finger foods, just all kinds of cool shit. And then I would go get in the vehicle and I'd go drop it off at the post. And so whenever we had heads up that this was going to go on, we let all the guards know, hey, don't fucking bring lunch or whatever. We got it covered. And they loved it, right? Anyway, this dude was a relatively new hire, and he just thought his shit didn't stink. Well, right about the time this motherfucker got hired, we were getting more and more incident reports of RAM chips disappearing out of one of the buildings. And that got the attention of HP's worldwide security. And they came and said, hey, what the fuck's going on? And we're like, we don't know. So, we'll get back to that. So I wrote this motherfucker up. Damn fly. Wrote this motherfucker up. 2 strikes on his ass, right? And I'm a 3-strike motherfucker. In my opinion, if you fuck up 3 times, your ass should be out of there. So anyway, I sent it back to our corporate. And they didn't have a policy of firing. What they would do is they had a concept called TFO, transfer off site. I don't even know why or transfer from site. No, it was transfer off site. I don't know why the F was in there. It should have been TOO. Yeah, TOO, right? Transfer off. No, TOS. Sorry, transfer off site. Sorry, it's morning time. But they had it was a term TFO. So I contact Peggy, who was my contact, and I said, look, TFO this motherfucker. You know, Dickhead is really disrupting shit here, and I finally have everything nice and stabilized. We got a good fucking crew here. Send me somebody else. She's like, I can't. I don't have anybody else. He's going to have to do. I said, fine. Fine. So Worldwide Security is telling us, hey, we got some shit disappearing. And I'm like, really? Do we know what time? And they're like, no. I said, okay. So this is mid-90s. Yeah, mid-90s. And they had this camera. It was fucking sick. It was so tiny it fit into like smoke detectors, right? So I said, well, fuck. Just set the camera up, put a bunch of dead RAM chips, because the fucker can't tell if they're dead, right? And put them out in the area where it's easier for them to get, and then tell everybody in that area, that's fabricating, to lock up the good chips. So we'll use that as a new procedure. And they said, okay. So they thought that was a good idea, so they went that route. Well, in the ICC, we could see that area, right? So anyway, I'm sitting there with this, fuck, how can I get rid of Dickhead? I fucking hate this guy, because he just kept being problematic. And so for a couple of days, we were watching the thing, and lo and behold, nothing happened. But lo and behold, this fucker comes on shift, and who do we see sniffing around the bins? That racist cocksucker, right? So he's getting around the chips. And I see him stop, and he takes them up, and he looks at them. Now, he had also bragged to other motherfuckers that, he was doing the security gig just as a way to get some stable money, but he also built custom machines and all this other bullshit. So I knew the motherfucker knew components. So for him to pick it up and look at it and see the types of, RAM modules they were, told me a lot. So this motherfucker was flipping through, looking at them, put it down, flipping. He sorted them out of the fucking bin. And I was like, okay, so far sorting is no big deal. He might be a good Samaritan just trying to make whoever comes in's job a little easier. He left the building, and I was like, fuck! He didn't grab shit! Fucking asshole. So then he went building. He went and had lunch. He came back to that building, and it was right before his shift was over. And that motherfucker said, whoop, boom, in his pocket, shoop, doop, in his pocket. And I smiled. And I was so happy. Right? So happy. So I call him up to Building 20. I notify the on-call rep for Worldwide Security, who in turn called Palo Alto Police Department. And the motherfucker comes up and he's giving me attitude right when he gets in. Hey man, I'm supposed to be getting ready to get off shift. What the fuck, dude? I don't need this bullshit. I said, oh no, it's not bullshit. I just want to introduce you to somebody. He's all, who? And so HP rep walks in. Newbie don't even know who the fuck this guy is, right? Out on the other side, coming up corporate building, corporate lobby, I could see the Palo Alto police. They came in the wrong area. They were supposed to be up on D level. They were down on A level. And so I tell one of the other guards, hey, go ahead and escort them up so they know where to go. So they go down and they grab these two police officers. And so while they're down to grabbing, HP contact goes, I'd like to see what you have in your pocket. And dude's all, fuck you, you need a fucking warrant to do that. He goes, oh, so we're gonna play that? I need a warrant to check your thing. He goes, Rob, do we need a warrant? I said, no, he's a fucking contract guard. That uniform is part of the gear. He needs to fucking empty his motherfucking pockets right now. Dude gets a fucking hell of a man. Fuck you, I don't need this shit. So he gets ready to walk out, right? So I go stand in front of the door. I said, now, I can't touch you. I can't do anything to you, but I can defend myself. So if you forcefully try to move me, I can defend myself. He goes, fuck you, do not go the other way. So he walks towards the other way. Well, the HP contact does the same thing. Left him with a third exit. Motherfucker starts walking to the third exit. About that time, the fucking Palo Alto PD walks in with the guard I sent to grab him. I'm like, oh, looks like you ain't got nowhere to go, dickhead. And he's all, fuck, you guys can't do shit. And so we say, oh, well, we can show you something. So I roll the tape, shows him put shit in his pocket. Palo Alto PD's looking. They're like, sir, come with us. So they fucking handcuff his ass. They fucking pull the shit out of his pockets. The HP Worldwide Guard comes out, looks at serial numbers, match. He goes, yep. And they said, oh, what's the value of this? He said, oh, this is at least $3,000 worth of stuff. And I said, well, I guess I don't have to worry about TFO in your ass because you're going to fucking jail for this. And he's all, fuck you. Yeah, when I see you again, motherfucker, I'm going to fuck you up. I said, I look forward to it. Bye-bye. So anyway, that was one guard that I had to deal with. And he was probably the worst. We had this one, I don't think he was Mexican. He had a really crazy accent, but I'm going to call his ass Rico Suave. Okay? So Rico Suave had this problem of flirting so hard that he had this stalker vibe. Okay? And he was a small guy, well built, you know. I mean, he wasn't an ugly dude. It's just he was so pushy, so, you know, so raper vibe, you know. And I would get a call from HP employees saying, hey, there's a guard up here that we don't really feel comfortable, and he's always offering to walk us to his car, and we think that's nice gesture, but we don't really feel safe with him. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I'd jet up there real quick, and I'd be like, oh, you know what? We'll put him in a different spot. Are you okay to walk to your car? And they're like, yeah. I said, we'll have the cameras keep an eye on you. And so I'd call the ICC and say, hey, camera up on whatever. Keep an eye on this lady as she's going to her car. So I go talk to Rico Suave, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? He's all, what, man? What? I'm like, dude, you can't be flirting with the employees. You know, he's like, no, my friend, I'm not flirting. I'm just, you know, I offer them to protect them, go to the car. You know, I just worry about them. I'm like, dude, you can't do that, all right? If they ask for it, that's one thing. But you are kind of pushing out a vibe that's not cool, man. It's not cool. He's like, okay, all right. I'm sorry. You know, I'm like, all right. I said, I'm going to have to put you in a different post, though. He's like, okay. So I put his ass in the most remote post we've got, okay? And it was Building 27, what was that fucking spot called? It was Building 27. It was next to being outside of Packard's house. Building 27 was the most remote location possible. So he's up there, And I tell the ICC, hey, do me a favor. Keep an eye on Rico Suave. Make sure he don't do nothing stupid, right? So I'm out doing some stuff, and that was kind of a standing order. Just check on the building 27 up on Deer Creek. Make sure you keep an eye on that shit, and just let me know whenever that fucker's on duty. So, a month went by, no reports, no problem, no nothing, right? And I'm like, great. I think I did the right thing. I think I got a good post for him. And then all of a sudden I get a call from ICC, and they're like, Rob, we recorded some shit from Rico Suave. You need to come see this. And I'm like, fuck. I said, is it harassing an HP employee? Like, no. You just need to come. So I go, and I'm sitting there in the ICC, and I'm watching, right? So he's sitting at his desk, and this girl walks in, and they start chit-chatting, and I'm looking, and, she don't have a badge or anything, and I'm like, how did she get in? He said, oh, he opened the door, and he put a little thing, and she just came through, and I'm like, okay, you're not supposed to unlock those doors in the first place. Well, I wasn't even had a chance to finish that thought. This girl has like a skirt on. She drops her panties off. She's got her skirt on. She goes behind the desk where he's at, and she disappears, and I just see him going I'm like, oh my God, this chick is giving this motherfucker head. And then she starts riding him, and I'm like, straight porn, right? And I'm like, holy shit. So I'm like, and then I see she gets up, she gives him a kiss, and she takes off, right? And I'm like, holy shit, I'll go up there right now, guys. I go up to that lobby, and it's not really a lobby. It was just kind of where people would come when they're doing deliveries. Some of the liquid nitrogen and stuff like that, they would go up there and they'd sign in, and they'd go through this little service area, and they'd drop it off. That's why it was a remote location next to no real employees. So I go up, and I'm like, Rico Suave, what the fuck, dude? He's all, what, my friend, what? I said, dude, you just fucking got off up in here. And he's like, oh, my girlfriend, oh, you saw that? Did you like it? She's hot, huh? She's hot. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? You can't do that shit. He goes, oh, it's boring, man. There's nothing going on, no one to talk to. My girlfriend felt bad. She stopped by to give me a little something. I'm like, dude, you can't do that shit. You can't do that shit on the job. He's like, oh, man, am I going to get fired? I go, dude, you don't get fired here, dude. They just send you somewhere else. He's like, oh, that's good. Yeah, get me out of here. This is boring. My brain's dying. I'm like, oh, my God, dude. I said, all right, fine. I'm going to recommend for a transfer offsite, dude, because I can't have this shit, dude. I said, you're a good dude, but, dude, what if somebody walked in right and saw that shit? He's like, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. I was like, fuck. All right, dude, well, keep it in the fucking pants. So I go back, call Peggy, tell her what happened. She's like, okay, we'll go ahead and get the documentation going. And so he got transferred off site. So anyway, there's 2 guards. I probably have about 5 more guard stories that are just ridiculous, but it would just go on and on and on. So that's it for this episode. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like these things, tell your friends, tell your family, tell fucking anybody that will listen. The Angry Jackalope is fucking fun. He talks some crazy shit. And if you like it, please subscribe. Tell the world. Oh, you know what? Let me do another shout out real quick. Again, Sergeant Major Thomas. Thank you for reading my shit, dude. I so appreciate it. Thanks. All right, guys. Until next time, be good to each other. I'm gonna fucking kill these flies. I'll be back. Motherfuckers. See you. Motherfucker. In case you guys thought I was full of shit, look at the size of that bitch. That's just one of like 10 flying around in here. Rob one, fly none.